Hello and welcome to the Kickin' with Kelly podcast. I am your host, Kelly, and thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. I cannot wait for you to see what I have in store for you this week. So let's not wait any longer. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to the Kickin' with Kelly podcast. My goodness, what a weekend of football. So much drama. And we're going to talk about some of the craziest things that happened over the weekend in NFL football and what resulted from that. Plus, we're going to preview the 26 NFL playoffs. Let me begin by saying this. A lot of people may not know this, so I'm going to put it out there. So, week 18 for most teams that are in the playoffs, it's a week of rest for your starters, especially being in the playoffs and you aren't really playing for anything. So if you clinched your spot in there and your division as well, or maybe winning your division is out of reach, but you did clinch your spot, you don't want to risk injury for your starters, so you sit them or let them play a little bit and then you pull. So in the Buffalo Bills case, to keep Josh Allen's consecutive start streak alive, they let him in for one snap. And James Cook as well, I think maybe 2-3 snaps, just to give him a little cushion on being the rushing leader. And then they pulled him. The Bills, they clinched their playoff spot, but their division was won by the Denver Broncos. So they didn't have a reason to start any of their starters, so they just sat them, and that's totally cool. So I want to talk about first Bucs and Panthers. That game was crazy. It was a battle for the NFC South. The Bucs won, and even though the Saints and the Falcons were already eliminated from playoff contention, the winner of the Saints versus the Falcons still determined which one of those teams were going to the playoffs. Personally, I was going for the Bucs. I like Baker Mayfield, but the winner of the Saints and the Falcons was, of course, the Falcons. And that sent the Bucs home packing, and the Panthers moved on to the playoffs. And then we had some history made by a former student, Myles Garrett. He broke the single season sacking record, and I saw something that was kind of funny. Michael Strahan was the previous owner of this title, this record. And it was funny because Michael Strahan does the NFL on Fox pregame show and, of course, halftime and everything. And he said, I am still the record holder for 16 games. Myles is for 17. And that's funny because, the NFL did add on a game. And so now he's still saying, I still have that right. I did it in 16 games. Myles did it in 17 games. And of course, he was joking. He was not throwing any shade to Myles. He then went on to praise him for all the hard work. He's a dog for sure. So props to Myles Garrett. Love to see that. I've always loved Myles Garrett, and he kind of has a little spot in my heart because I messaged him. I was going through some kind of medical crisis that I'm not going to get into, but it was crazy and just so much happening at once. I messaged him and I just asked if he would say hi. It would mean the world. And he messaged me back and said, you just got to keep your head up, kid. Don't stop fighting. I'm paraphrasing here, but that was amazing. So I'm so incredibly happy for Myles Garrett. And then we have the battle in the AFC South. If the Jaguars lost and the Texans won, title goes to the Texans. But if the Jaguars won, then the Jaguars win the AFC South And of course, they were playing the Tennessee Titans, who aren't all that good this year. The Titans went up initially, and then a little bit later, Cam Ward went down with the shoulder injury, and it was pretty much done for after that. Not that it wasn't already. Sorry, Titans fans, but it's just been a rough year for y'all. So, Jaguars won the AFC South. That's okay. That's all right. What I don't like is how the Jaguars fans are trying to little brother the Texans. I don't like that. Because Jaguars fans, please don't act like we haven't owned you for the past, I don't know how long, decade or more. So keep your cool there. Let's not get too crazy. Congrats, for sure. Congrats. But let's not get our heads too big there. The Eagles dropped down in their playoff ranking spot, and so did the Chicago Bears with their losses. Also, let's just pause here and take a moment for the Ravens and the Steelers. Did y'all see that game? I have seen many crazy endings to games. And that ranks up there with some of the craziest, without a doubt. Hands down, one of the craziest endings I've ever seen to a game. And especially with everything on the line. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me lay it down for you here. So, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Lamar Jackson, of course, for the Ravens. They are fighting for a spot in the playoffs and the AFC North title. The Baltimore Ravens are 8-8. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 9-7, both entering this game at that point. So it's a little slow to start out. Not much back and forth. And then it's like something snapped. Something snapped like, oh my goodness, it's the fourth quarter and they are just realizing what is all at stake here. And it starts going back and forth. And the Ravens score. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers score. And it keeps going back and forth. And then we get to a point where it's really winding down. Pittsburgh Steelers go ahead 26-24. Chris Boswell, who's a very well-respected NFL veteran kicker, misses an extra point. And that makes it 26-24. And then you have to give the ball back to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry with plenty of time on the clock. Let me lay down how this next drive went. Pittsburgh kicks off and Baltimore runs it back 41 yards. So they're at the Baltimore 47. And Lamar Jackson has a couple good throws, but there's an illegal formation. There's a couple incomplete passes, and then he makes a 26-yard pass to Isaiah Likely. And then something that didn't really make sense to me, you have Derrick Henry, and you choose to kneel it instead of letting Derrick Henry get you a little bit closer. Nevertheless, they had that last time out, took that last time out, and then Tyler Loop, a rookie kicker, comes out, and at this point, I was going for Pittsburgh. I wanted Pittsburgh to win. I would rather face the Steelers than Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in Baltimore as a Texan. And I'll explain how the playoff seeding works in a little bit. But I'm texting my friend. We usually chat during at least Texans games, but sometimes some other games. So we were talking back and forth in this one, and I sent a text that said, please block or miss. I genuinely thought that the game was over. I thought it was a wrap. We were going to play the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. I was getting ready to prepare for that. I mean, what do I have to do? I'm just a fan, but just be like, okay, that's who we're going to play. And I just feel for the guy. He misses it wide right. This is a 44-yard field goal, seemingly a chip shot these days. And man, I just really feel for Ravens fans. I know that kind of heartbreak. That is something that cannot be put into words. That kind of I just felt so bad. I felt so bad for you Baltimore fans out there, truthfully. I know that kind of heartbreak. And I really do feel for y'all. And so the aftermath, well, today, as I said before when I'm recording this, January 6th, John Harbaugh, after 18 seasons, was fired. Am I shocked? No, I am not. And honestly, I don't know how you Ravens fans feel out there. I feel like most are leaning one way, but I've seen some leaning another. I said, it's about time. It's about time. Although John Harbaugh has led the Ravens to the playoffs a lot. I mean, he has a really good resume, and he's got 7 teams reaching out for potential head coaching positions. He for sure will get a job somewhere else. And yes, he led them to a Super Bowl as well. John Harbaugh definitely did some things for Baltimore, but it was just time. They haven't been back to the Super Bowl since the 2000s. It was time. They couldn't get past Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't get past the AFC Championship, the divisional round. It was just time. But like I said, he for sure will have a job somewhere else. But that kind of makes you wonder if that happened. Say the Steelers lose to the Texans, is Mike Tomlin next? I don't know if the Steelers have the guts to actually fire Tomlin, or does Mike Tomlin step down? He's been there 19 years, I think, and he with certainty will have another NFL job as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, brings us all to the 2026 NFL playoffs. Let's preview that a little bit. But what I want to do first is, if there's a listener out there who doesn't quite understand playoff seeding, I kind of wanted to quickly go over that so you can understand. It's not something that I honestly understood myself at first. And then I saw somebody, and I'm going to give a shout out here to Mary Crippen, who is a content creator who's a teacher, and she has a program called NF Elementary. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. She has her students draft an NFL team, and then you follow that team all season. And that's your team. And they write to the team. And a lot of the teams responded and sent them swag. Some sent them tickets to the game. It's so cool. And then she always reminds them that they don't have to do this. The NFL teams did that out of the kindness of their hearts, and they didn't have to do it. So shout out to Mary Crippen. You are doing awesome things. I follow you, and I love your content. So please keep doing what you're doing. And I always love the teacher content creators out there, because my mom was a teacher, and that was something that's always been super special to my heart. So shout out Mary Crippen. And she kind of helped me understand how the playoff seeding works, because I didn't really fully understand it all myself. I know, it's crazy. I know. You're like, Kelly, how could you not understand that? Hey, I've been watching football since I was born, and I didn't know how it worked until now. And I'm about to unleash all of that for you too. All right, here we go. Playoff seating. So you have the AFC, you have the NFC, and then you have these rankings. And you have the first 4 spots on both sides go to the division winners. So AFC South, North, East, West, NFC South, North, East, West, all of that. Those guys get those 4 spots. And of course, by record, and if they have a advantage over you. So say like if 2 teams have played each other and one beat the other and they have the same record, well, the one that won is going to be a higher rank. So then you have your wild card spots, and that can get kind of crazy, and I won't go too deep into that. But then you have this bracket, and so let me preview these matchups for you. So the Broncos and Seattle are number 1 seeds, so that means they have a week off. They have a bye week. Sometimes that's helped, sometimes it hasn't. So it will be, of course, Houston versus Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, those 4 teams have those home games, and everybody else is the away teams. And then the winner of that, I mean, I'm not going to say anybody else than my Texans, but let me tell you why. Texans have the number 1 defense, and this is not to say that anything can't happen, because it really can, and that's what has me a little bit nervous about this game. I still believe in my team 100%, without a doubt, but anything can happen, and anything has happened. But the Texans have the number 1 defense. Statistically, I'm loving what DeMeco Ryans has turned this team into. I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's a future episode coming up. There's a little tease for you. But I have the Texans in this one. And then we have those Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills. Bills are going to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. This one is tough for me. I feel like it could go either way. But honestly, and it's not because I'm a Texans fan and I don't like Jacksonville, I genuinely believe the Bills will take this one. Why? Let me tell you. Believe, and I don't like the Bills very much either. That's just my opinion, okay? Josh Allen in the playoffs has been pretty clutch, but this is also leaving me wide open because Josh Allen in the playoffs has not all the way been clutch. You have when they played the Texans in the wild card round, out. Anytime they played Kansas City in the playoffs, out. So it really could go either way, but I think the Bills can escape with this one. It'll be close for sure, but if Jacksonville takes it, I wouldn't be surprised either. And then we have the Chargers versus the Patriots, and I'm taking the Patriots in this one. I'm sorry. Drake May has done some pretty incredible things, and I mean, Justin Herbert is dealing with injury. He's one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league this year. I just don't see the Chargers making it past this one. NFC side, we have the Rams and the Panthers. I have the Rams in this one. Matthew Stafford, guy's gonna be MVP. If he's not, I don't know who else it would be, honestly, to be just perfectly honest with you. I don't know who else would be MVP. Matthew Stafford has done some pretty incredible things. Puka Nacua has been amazing. I know that because my friend who played against me had Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua in fantasy, and it burned me a lot. But they've done some pretty incredible things, and I don't think the Panthers are going to take the win in this one. The Eagles versus the 49ers. That one, I'm going to say San Francisco. The Eagles have been kind of up and down this year. Honestly, it could. I mean, the Eagles could shock everybody, but I don't see them winning this one. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. Saquon Barkley hasn't really lived up to last year's standards, unfortunately. And Jalen Hurts has been kind of on again, off again. I'm taking the Niners in this one. But as I've said, anything can happen. Anyone can win. But I do believe it's the Niners in this one. And then for the third time this year, it's Green Bay and Chicago. This one, I genuinely don't know. It could go either way. If I had to choose one, I'm gonna say part of me wants to say Green Bay, but another part of me wants to say Ben Johnson and those Chicago Bears have looked really good in some moments, and in some moments they haven't. So who do I choose? I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take the Bears in this one, but this one, genuinely, I have no idea who's going to win. It's one of those moments where you say it's going to be whoever scores the most points because it's so evenly matched. So that one will be cinema for sure. And Super Bowl predictions. I don't know that I want to make this Super Bowl prediction because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to make it. And this is contingent on the Texans' offense getting things figured out. The defense tightening up. I've seen a little bit, and I'm being a little bit critical here, but I've seen some wide open receivers here. So they fix that, and I truly believe they will. D'Amico Ryans should be the coach of the year. I don't care what anybody says. He should have had it his first year. 0-3, 12-5. If the Texans offense figures things out, that defense continues to play to their full potential, I have the Texans representing the AFC. And that's also contingent on everyone staying healthy too. Then on the NFC side, give me the Rams. I think the Rams are going to go. I think Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, all of those guys have been really outstanding this year. Don't ask me for my winner, because you know who I want to say. You know I want to say my boys are going to win the Super Bowl. But I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm just thinking like the players at this point. As a fan, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But I'm taking it game by game. That's how they look at it. But the Texans have always found a way to win. For 9 straight games, they have found a way to win. They could have been down by however many points in the first half and then scored 26 unanswered. Jacksonville. Sorry. And they've come all the way back. So, truthfully, the Texans genuinely could. I do believe. I have believed this year more than I ever have before. But they gotta figure this stuff out on offense. Now, my people, I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting wild card weekend, and we'll be back here with you next week. We will see how things go, and who knows? I think you all need to watch out for the Texans. I don't think anybody wants to play the Texans. Nobody wants to play that Texans defense. Nobody. I have seen it firsthand in person. Ain't nobody want to play that defense. So look out for those Texans and have a great wild card weekend. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Please do a couple things for me. Number 1, go follow me on Instagram. Go follow me on Twitter. Like and subscribe on YouTube. All of that, please, to help me get this podcast launched. Instagram at Kickin' with Kelly Podcast. Twitter at Kickin' with Kelly Pod. YouTube is at Kickin' with Kelly Podcast. Help me launch this. And the last thing, of course, is that this podcast is in memory of my mom, who gave me this idea, and I thought she was absolutely crazy. But as it turns out, as always, she was right. So thank you so much for watching. Go tell your friends, go tell your family, go tell everybody about this podcast. Spread the news, help me out. And until next time, thank you so much.